chances to reflect along the camp, I would like the keynotes to come up, those we can, on the stage, and either, if they get there first, they're going to get a seat on the sofa. Otherwise, it's going to be the less comfortable chairs. But also, I want to emphasize that this is a kind of participatory experience, I hope, in keeping with the general atmosphere of the camp. So we have mics. Lucy, I don't know, is very kindly taking around. If people want to contribute, say stuff. As I said, I have something to be seen. Just put up your hand or stand up and say, "Hey, I want to say something." And what do we want to go through? I mean, first of all, I got a very boring announcement, which is those invaluable Mac adapters, the bane of every conference. There were a couple of ones which were used to adapt the room. Central Cifroi lent them to us. So if you have accidentally pocketed a Central Cifroi adapter, and if I'm right, Lucy, do they have something kind of marked on them? They have it written on them, so you'll know. Please give it back, because they're a complete pain in the ass to replace. Okay, so just before we go into discussing theme, anecdotes, takeaways, a couple of things from our end. One is that when we ran this last year, we know we believe, and we kind of know in some cases that cool stuff came out. People had conversations, ideas were sparked, etc. And things came out of that. And we can track a little bit of it, but it's really nice if people let us know. So you can just ping us, even if today you just had an idea or stuff's come out of it, if you send us a line, or you just want to say that you enjoyed it or you hated it, or that there was something wrong, like it was too cold in here, and don't run it in a dance club again. David, you should be coming up here. Yeah, you. It really makes a huge difference to us. I mean, and while it's fresh in your mind, on the plane back, just pen us an email, say what you like. It makes a huge difference to us, and the effort we put in, and other people on social media, and including also people who generously support us to make this happen. If we know that you had a cool time, and also if you do stuff. So if you do something cool, or you think about it, or you run a hack day, or you do something as a result of meeting people here, or ideas you had during the year, if you just can remember it, just ping us info@ogdcamp.org, or put it on the hashtag, or I don't know if we have @OGDCamp or not, but okay, so you can't Twitter it to us like that, you hashtag, or @OKFN, that would be great. I'm going to have a couple more things to say near the end, but right now I want to say, I'm going to go around along the list. You have John standing for Alan, who's had to fly back, I believe, to the US, and I know also Rashid had to head back. But start with you, Nigel. Anything it sparks in your mind that's different that you've learned, or that was good, bad, ugly. Less about the conference, obviously, than open data, where it stands, open government data.
No, it was only here for the day, and I regret not being here yesterday because it sounds like it was just as good. There was a really rich set of conversations. I was surprised. The session on open ... really generated an interesting set of ideas around what it is to be public. So that's sparked. And that was quite interesting to have that high-level reflection rather than, we're in the weeds all the time, just moving up a level and saying what's implicit in the service. I enjoyed that. I just love this urban chic setting, I have to say. It's like something in the scene of Stalingrad was described to me, but actually it works really well. And you just know where you're not, and I think that's great. So congrats on that. Today has been, I think, quite useful in that it hasn't been just about cheerleading from the front. It's also been about a sober recognition that we've got challenges facing us, that it's a good job we are a community who feel a common sense of purpose. And it is really this great community. It's just so good to see friends and faces and people who share the same value set. That is just so important. And replicating that just as much as you can at every scale, that's the next stage, is you guys scaling this again, because it's going to take that to make the changes really fix.
So it's been absolutely a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited that the Sunlight Foundation was able to be involved. Sorry, I'm not the stand-in for Ellen here, but quickly, I think that the keynotes between yesterday and today was a fascinating contrast. How yesterday's were on balance more positive, this morning's were a little bit darker. I think that's an appropriate way to have the 2 days go, because with the amount of time that we've all been talking about and thinking about open data, it's appropriate for there to be a bit of a search for rigor, a bit of a search for meaning, and to think about where things are headed, and if there's a chance that they peter out and fail, and if it's a 70% chance or a 50% chance or whatever it is. I think that's a good question to be asking. So a lot of us are involved in the same search for the best levers that we can find, whether that's licensing or statutory changes or cultural changes or redefining what it means to be public or whatever it is. It's a good set of questions to be asking. And I think many of us that we're organizations like Sunlight or like My Society or like OGDFN are thinking through what it means to have your mission, but then also realize that the things that we're working on are fundamentally international phenomena. Even if you are a national organization like Sunlight, you have to think of your work as being an international project. And it's interesting to see a bigger and bigger community growing, bigger gatherings growing, because open data groups shouldn't just be open data groups. Any group with any interest in anything really should be an open data group. So hopefully the community can continue to grow.
Okay, I mean, I think like others, I've been struck by how many key people in this movement have come to the same point that we're at the sort of cusp almost. Some of it's the problems of success, and then how do we embed that? Speaking as a former civil servant, never underestimate the government's capacity to get the capacity of a government to get a good idea wrong in the execution. Various large projects across various governments, which have been a good idea but wrongly executed, or as people wake up to what's going on, them gradually adapting. So there isn't any real change there. I thought some really good points were made on how to think about how embedding that, what's the value of the sustained value to government, how do you make it so people will scream if you take it away? And that was the Machiavellian point that people protest more when you take things away than when you suggest that something new should be done. And the proponents of change are more silent. But I'm actually upbeat of seeing just how much this has grown in the last year, how many new initiatives there are, and how many more initiatives actually taking data and looking at problems, not always on the national scale, but sometimes on the international scale, and are coming along. So the movement is alive and well. We've got to learn how to influence governments even more effectively, maintain the political interest and so on.
I'm slightly schizophrenic about this. I had a fantastic couple of days, and what's been terrifically good has been meeting those people I've never met before, that I haven't seen. I've been coming to these things for 2 years now, and loads of people I've not come across before and not been, and it's been really good. On the other hand, picking up Nigel's Starling metaphor, there are some forces advancing towards us, some major forces advancing towards us, and actually from here the battle looks pretty tough. In fact, in some ways it's difficult to see given some of the forces coming towards us, and even though you can only hear the tanks rolling in the distance, you can't see them yet, and no doubt they are coming. They're coming towards us, but the odds are against us, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't fight. And even if we have to, and we should fight hard, we should fight even if some of us don't make it. And we should fight even if we have to live on that and rainwater, because it's worth fighting for, ultimately. And I think this is what we're doing, is good. And it's good for society. It's actually quite big fun as well. And I think it's really important. So, ultimately, I'm both have really enjoyed it, and I wouldn't say I'm optimistic, but I'm defiant.
Zen peace in whether we succeed or fail, but the struggle itself. David.
Yeah, I do not feel that way. I feel, there's a great old talk called "Open Source Has It Crossed the Chasm," which was about kind of the moment. It was a venture capitalist talking about what was going on in the open source community. And this is like 10 years ago. This talk was given, and he really said, like, there's this point where like there's the adoption curve. He's like, as a VC, I can tell you right now, open source has crossed the chasm. Like, you're now at a place where like governments are using you, and like we're not playing around anymore. It's no longer people in their basements like shipping files via email. Like, this stuff is real. And we have a lot of big battles in front of us, but I think open data is crossing a chasm. That we're no longer having to screen from rooms. We're being invited in the front door, and that's a serious accomplishment. And I just don't think we should underplay it. And in fact, we need to embrace it and figure out how we're going to use this opportunity, because we're probably only going to get it once, and we've got to really, really maximize it. So I don't want us to get overly down, and I got to be careful about how down we get. I don't want to kind of diminish. I don't want to be like the positive guy. I don't want to diminish the challenges, but the other thing is we do have to paint a positive image of the future. There's a wonderful book called The Death of Environmentalism, and it's built around this entire myth that kind of like the only way people started to care about the environment was if you scared them. And in fact, so if you tell people the world's going to collapse, then people get more mobilized. And in fact, the very opposite is true. The more you scare people about the future of the planet, the more conservative they become, and the more they just want to protect themselves, and the less they care about the environment. So we got to paint a positive picture about where this can be going and what the world could look like, because we already have a bunch of successes, and I feel like the wind is increasingly beginning to move in our direction. So let's ride this. Let's paint the world as the way we think it should be, and let's embrace these battles, because I actually don't think the odds are stacked against us. I think they're stacked in favor of us.
Michael saying, I want a standard, I want a schema for doing something that doesn't exist yet, because I want to do something next week and I can't wait. Well, me and from England and a guy from Poland and a guy from Hungary wrote your standard is lunchtime. Okay, so like there's a thing you can use tomorrow. So and that doesn't happen at a lot of conferences, that you can walk away with a thing that is not only done, but it's kind of done with a bit of international experience. So hopefully it's easier to reuse. And the single best thing that everyone in the open source community should want that I got out of this is I had people say to me, yes, I will collaborate on your project. Yes, I will not reinvent the wheel. Yes, let's do this together. That doesn't happen very often at conferences either. And if there are any more people who want to say that, then please come up after. So here's to conferences that are interesting and fundamentally productive.
Well, I think we're almost to that. We should have everyone on the back. It's kind of weird thing, isn't it, about conferences? Because really, it's you. I mean, I know it's always this division. We have to have some people on the stage and not, but fundamentally, it's everyone who comes. And there's a bizarre thing. I remember giving a talk once about conferences, which is fundamentally the talks. The talks were fabulous, but kind of almost a sideshow to getting people here to talk to each other. But no one will come just to do that. You have to give them the talks. So it's always this bizarre thing. So I've got one other question I'm going to go around to again, but is there anyone in the audience who's had something interesting or wants to do a shout out about what they want to do, or what they're planning, or something they've got planned, or assistance with? And I'm going to kick this off with two things. I think it's probably an abuse of my power, but hey. Let me see if I can switch this on. Yes. Which is one. This point, so Tom almost should be the first contributor to this from what he just told me, which is if Bitly OGD Camp plans, this is the thing we just said, if you do something cool or got something that's come out of this, or you think of it in the next year, particularly if it's a plan, you can say, in general, if you just want to say praise to us, or even curse us in some way. Someone quite correctly, when I was slightly frazzled this morning, told me that I should link all of your names to your websites on the program, and we would if we weren't copying it across from a spreadsheet every half hour. That's a good point, but anything like that, just send it to us mail. But if you've got plans, you can go to that link, fill in a form. The point is, we will ping you in 6 months. So if you say you're planning to do something, we will bug you at least in 6 months to find out what happened. There might be nothing happened, but that's one of the promises we'll make. So that might be useful. So if you you think now or in 2 months it's something you're going to do? I know I'm looking at Noel, for example, in the front row. He said to me, I don't know, they had a whole bunch of plans yesterday. They didn't all come out of this conference, but if any of them did, you could fill that in and we would bug you in 6 months. That's one thing. The other is, I think it's the 3rd of December, Open Data Census, in collaboration with a bunch of people. We are going to do, I think we discussed it all the time, this conference, just like, when we go places, normally the thing we're always doing is like, hey, transport data, hey, health data, what of those things are available? We want to kind of have that little chart. I think several people talk about, David, I think Andrew Ranzich talk about like measuring progress a little bit. And not just, I think quite rightly, data catalogs, definitely where they are, but like what, every country, which countries in the world have open transport data, or more granular, timetable, which countries have restaurant health data, check data available. I think that's where we're really going to actually be able to say it, and we can also push for actual implementation. So those are 2 things, but is anyone else that has really inspired us, we thought about it before, but at this conference to really make that happen? Is there anyone out there in the room who wants to say something, wants to say what was good, bad, enjoyable, or a funny story from the event?
Done? Yeah. So I would like shortly just mention that I really like in this conference that we have like Open Knowledge Foundation logo here, but I see like lots of autonomous projects coming together, like people who do really amazing stuff and often just meet each other first time in this conference. And myself, I work recently more and more with technologies related to what people call as federated social web, which is kind of aiming to bridge gaps between online communities, where people have different online communities, sometimes they're like separate islands. And also I would like to invite everyone who has certain like online community to work together and use recent technologies to start bridging those gaps so that we can stay involved in more different projects and cooperate more smoothly and have no like technical obstacles that we are taking different projects and like different domains and so on. So especially developers who take care of online communities, I would invite to get together and start working on enabling those communities to like stay in better touch and like have no barriers between us.
So discussed even in the bar, it's not even, yeah. And one thing to actually just emphasize, you maybe just think, I should emphasize, you talk about, one of the reasons, I hope the event is good, is that we should emphasize that 30 partners on this event who've helped contribute in various ways, a massive steering committee. It really is a collaborative event, enterprise putting this thing together. That is a point as well. Ideas for next year. So anyone else with points? So there's someone there, someone here. Go for it.
Hi. Speaker. I want to thank very much the conference organizers. My name is Bernadette Hyland, and I'm here with 2 hats on. One is the Government Big Data Working Group co-chair, and also as an entrepreneur who's really dedicated the last 13 years of my life around big data, using RDF before it was even a spec. But completely aside from technology, I just want to really have everybody remember, it was 30 years ago today, not today, sorry, 30 years ago, that in this country, a small group of people who really believed in freedom, led by Lech Walesa, threw off the shackles of communism. And I think it's kind of an interesting parallel that we're here 30 years later, and this is a very vibrant country with a very vibrant economy. We didn't even have a stock market in 1995. And I think that's a remarkable tribute about the power of a few people who have a great idea and are pushing for freedom in their case. And what we're pushing for is a different kind of freedom. But it's going to take a revolution, and I think it's going to take dedication, and it's going to have to come from the top and the bottom. And thank you very much. This is my first Open Data Camp, and I hope I can come back to more. It was a great experience.
Was there someone at the back? Yep.
Hello. My name is Antti. I'm from Finland, and I'm happy to announce that we were double as many Finns here this year than last year, and I already met one Finn that I didn't know before, so that's remarkable because there are not so many Finland. About the things that we're going to do, we decided that still this year, 13th of November, we will have an initial meeting in Helsinki, gather all kind of open groups together to have discussion whether we should open an Open Knowledge Foundation chapter in Finland. So that's something practical.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Just a really quick one from me. I'm Tarek Kokov from the World Bank. One thing that we're coming up against a lot is supporting developing countries to do open data and open government projects. So one thing I'd like to see next year is at least more representation or more discussion around the issues of open data in developing countries. And then just a quick shout out to an event we're running tomorrow with Tim Davis. I'm not sure if he's in the room, but there's a satellite event tomorrow at 10 o'clock at the satellite event venue. You can find a link to it online. So open data in developing countries.
Thanks. Well, Jed, Captain Sweden suggested I should say that OGD Camp /program/satellite. You want to see if you're around and you don't want to visit the historic centre and you're not committed. I'm going to be there tomorrow. What more incentive do you need at this event on open data in development? And I also just mentioned, Tarek said that there is one of the things the OKF does. Again, it's kind of generally it's not owned by us, but by the community who runs it. There are a bunch of mailing lists and kind of working groups on particular topics, and there is one on open data in development that's helping coordinate this satellite event tomorrow. So if you're interested in hacking or getting open data development stuff, come tomorrow at 10 a.m. Just to say, if you're wondering where it is, it's like 3 minutes that way. In an even, not quite as cool a building as this, but pretty cool and edgy, if you ask me, for a university, that is. Okay.
Hi, my name is Ruth. I'm from Spain, and I just wanted to announce that today there was a new law in Spain that it was passed, and it's that like the government data now is open data by default, and I think that this deserves an applause.
Thanks for a fantastic event. One little tip, please, next time don't approve all my submissions. I thought you would be selective. But anyway, it was a great event, and I would urge you to do another event next year as well, because you're performing an enormously important role for any community, and that needs to be a focal point in the year for any community, and you're the Open Data Community's Christmas party, and I'm looking forward to next year's Christmas. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all the speakers for their presentations. I am Pollock from the World Bank. It's my first time in a big open data event like this, so I'm extremely excited about this movement, this potential. And actually, I'd like to mention that we're partnering with Web Foundation and the Open Knowledge Foundation on supporting our clients and partners in developing countries, as Tariq just said, to mainstream the open data in the development programs. So we'd like to ask all of you to join this effort and to contribute your expertise and in different roles to really help flesh out those open data initiatives in as many countries as possible. So by next year, when we gather again, I hope we can have more examples from developing countries, and I would like you to be all involved in this effort. We actually set up a LinkedIn group on open data in developing countries. Some of you already joined. I would like all of you to join that and participate in discussions and helping our clients who already ask us for help to actually make it happen. So really open call for partnership and collaboration on mainstreaming this in developing countries. Thanks.
Hello. Thank you for the great event. I just wanted to develop on the idea of Tariq. I'm Ismail. My name is Ismail. I'm working for the Open Bank project in Berlin, but I'm actually from Algeria. And I just wanted to announce that we're working on trying to spread the word there about open data. In Algeria and Morocco, there is an event about open government in March in Morocco. And I'm going in November to Algeria to talk about open data. I have a talk, I just confirmed it today, talk about open data at the Freedom Software Day in November. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, is there any more comments from the room? No? Okay. Shout if I've missed it. No? Okay. So I think we're getting pretty close to the point where we would be good to adjourn to some place to sleep our first after this long day.
And warm up.
And warm up! What did I go from Pollock? Yes, Vancouver, it's just wet. Okay, but yeah, no, well, we don't even need to relocate, we just turn on the lights, crank up the music, and open the bar. Well, okay, so I'm just gonna go around from maybe from Tom's end. I've got the thing. I guess the thing would be, I don't know, a year ago when we ran this, and I think when I opened it, when we opened it, I remember my talk, and I looked back at it, and it was basically like, one was this clarification of licensing, and just actually having open data. So a lot of people were talking about it, there wasn't some. I think we had some delivery on that. We talked about it in the first session. But that was my wish then. It's kind of amazing to see the whole little workshop at the end of the day about, in which I was zero involved, but people seem to know a little more me about what's going on, licensing compatibility, which I was worried about then. So I kind of feel that's mature, like people are already thinking about that, we're getting compatible licenses. So what would you like, if you came back in a year's time, what would you like, if you came back in a year's time here, what would you most like to look back and, well, that was a success. And what, I guess to accommodate, several people, but Chris particularly, what could you imagine being like the kind of best thing you could think of happening and a bad thing that you could imagine happening between them? So in a year's time, you're coming up and giving a talk, you're like, this was amazing that happened, this was the best thing that happened last year in this area, this was the worst thing, if you were anticipating.
If we come back in a year's time and governments around the world have started to merge their right to information laws with their open data agenda, that would be the biggest win, because in my view, as long as governments are giving out data as a gift because it's kind of cool this week, doesn't matter how good the data they give out this week is, they won't be interested next year. So the big win for all of us around the world will be when open data becomes a right, and that's going to be in all sorts of ugly fights in all sorts of legislatures around the world, but that's the big win.
No.
Oh, everything that he's going to say, even worse.
Everything else. Before I begin, just briefly a plug for those who weren't there. December 3rd is Open Data Hack Day. We're organizing events around the world. There's hopefully one in your sister city. If there's not, you should do one in your city. OpenDataDay.org is the website. There's a wiki, you can sign up. Tons of fun, so please, if you haven't already, please consider it. A huge thank you to Open Knowledge Foundation for providing a bunch of resources to make that possible. The thing that I actually completely agree with you, and I'm going to come from a different angle. The thing that really worries me is again, schemas, which I talked about in the opening comments. We got to start driving towards some common schemas. Let's not boil the ocean around that. I'm not trying to say we have to have common schemas for every data set that exists, because we're never going to get there, probably ever. But let's pick some areas that really matter to us. Like we picked transit, that was a pretty good area, but I think we'd probably do better than that. Let's pick some areas and let's start developing some common schemas and really pushing aggressively to get there, because that's the only way I think we're going to be scaling up. If we don't do it, I think we're going to be 1,000 points and we're not going to be loosely joined. We're just going to be 1,000 points, and that's going to be a real problem. The other piece to kind of follow up on yours is, I just don't want us to underestimate the magnitude of the task that we're trying to get engaged in here, which is, this is not just about open data. This is about rewiring the state. The job of open data, if all we do is create open data portals that governments feel like they should shovel data into every once in a while, we fail. Because again, it's a gift and they're going to take it away at some point. Our job is to make governments realize that they are data managers, and they got to treat their data like they treat every other asset, like a road or like a bridge. They got to have a governance model around it. They got to figure it out. And what we want is data built as a layer of government that they're building their own stuff on top of. Because when they're building on top of that data platform, it's going to be very, very hard for them to pull the plug on it, because it's going to shut down a bunch of what they do. And then we got to fight the legal battle to make sure that that platform is made available to us. But if all we do is just become a compliance issue and create open data portals, I think we're hooped. So that's my big nightmare.
Okay, I reckon I've done my negative bit. So I'm going to do two positive bits. Two things I'd like to see. Two things I'd like to see. The first is, I'd like to see massively interconnecting between every single open data site that's out there. If an open data site isn't linking to other open data sites, it should be a pariah. I want to see all of us having such close, such good connections with each other that basically everyone that's not open data thinks, fuck, we better get in there a bit because we're being excluded. And the second thing I'd like to see is open data extending beyond government into the private sector as well, into the corporate world, because we need that. We need to understand what's going on. We need to have companies say, we want to make our supply chain. So you can see that we're not using children for making our clothing. You can see where we get our stuff from. You can actually, you can have your data as open, you can have data that you're going to need in order to reproduce stuff as open data. You can understand what's going on as open data. And we want to actually, in the same way that there has been a bit of a race, there's been a bit of a competition among governments to be more open, I'd like to see the beginnings of a competition of companies to be more open.
Okay, two quick ones from me. Firstly, there was a session yesterday afternoon run by Paul Sidbrook and Gene Home, and I took part in, and there's an enormous appetite among those actually running data portals or wanting to set up data portals to share knowledge, and I think that's incredibly important, and Paul and Gene and I have been doing some work over the last 24 hours on how to take that forward. That's not only important to actually get people to realise it's not so difficult and to avoid some of the pitfalls, but it also builds on things David said about schemas and actually having some standards for this and having that accessible, not imposed from outside but actually coming from that community. And the second is the world, or certainly the Western world, is in a pretty very economic pickle at the moment. And I'd actually like to see data written right up there in a strategy for growing out of recession. And that will give the movement some legs for the next phase and actually push it through. So get people working together, and open data is part of the solution to the mess the world's in.
So the positive in the next year, I'd like to see strong, effective international norms for how every country should be listing and inventorying all of their data, whether it's public or not. I think that doesn't really exist now, and it is doable within a year. Also, on the positive side, to repeat something Chris said earlier, the DUNS number should be replaced with a non-proprietary, unique corporate identifier that includes parent relationships specifically, and that is also possible. On the negative side, I can imagine coming back next year and being very frustrated that the Open Government Partnership turned out to be about making vanity commitments for political gain rather than generating meaningful change. And that would be the most disappointing thing for the next year.
Plus marks are actually, we're also positive, it's great. Okay, Nigel.
Well, some really tingle the good ones. I'd echo a number of them, particularly actually getting business engaged with us, crucial. Getting some entrepreneurs along, crucial. Getting business to think that they should be open too, crucial. I'm going to say something else, and it doesn't figure because in the past we have known it's a place we don't want to go. It is personal government health data. It's about the fact that they hold tons of stuff about us all, as do the companies. It's our data, your data, my data. That's a cause just as big as this. And it requires many of the same techniques and high principles to get it back to us. The much lauded Blue Button Veteran Association is out there. It's one of the examples that shows this can work. Let's do more of that.
Okay, I don't know if I summarised that quite correctly. Live note taking as well. But not just a pretty face.
No, not just out of corporates, out of government.
Out of government.
Yeah. They've got a shitload of data about us.
Okay, so I think we're going to have a wrap here. I want to do a final thing. So actually, to say to David's case, yeah, it's actually also, I should mention, thanks to the Shuttleworth Foundation specifically, who generously have funded me for a year and this year, and who actually, it's their money to help me make, contribute to Davis Time Open Data Day. It's going to be awesome, so be there the 3rd of December. And thank you all. I want to say a final thank you, to myself, but particularly, because I was running this up here, but actually I didn't do that much organising, really. It's Jonathan, Kat, Alec, I think, is here. Cash, particularly, can you two stand up? Not so anyone that really knows that, no, you're going to refuse, but from Central to Broke. Thank you to all the speakers, all of you. Let's have, you all know there are maps, I think, I don't know if we have extra ones. We're all going to go into the centre to see the beautiful old centre. Also, if you want to come along, come along. And otherwise, until next time.